Hi guys, I want to talk about a really sore subject, but a lot of people go through it and I just want to share my experience. So recently I went through a miscarriage. I was 7 weeks pregnant, and so this is what happened. I found out I was pregnant May 2nd, and that was like the first test I took, and it was really, really faint, so I really didn't think I was pregnant, so I kept taking tests. So that was Thursday. Then May 4th, Saturday, I took a second test, and it was way darker than the first. I took the first response test. So then I kind of figured, yeah, I'm definitely pregnant. I was like super happy. Then my fiance was like, oh, well, take another one tomorrow. So May 5th came, that was Sunday, and I took a third test, and it was definitely darker than the one before. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely pregnant. But I was kind of like, I was always saying, well, maybe something's wrong. Maybe this, maybe that. Like, I was never like, I don't know, it kind of like blew my mind that I actually was pregnant. So I kept making excuses like, what if I'm sick and I just came up like pregnant? And he's like, no, you're definitely pregnant. So I made an appointment. So May 10th, I went to the doctor, and all they did was another urine test, and it came up positive. So they were like, oh, well, you'll go to your next doctor's appointment. We usually only see people when they're 10 weeks pregnant. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks, because I just wanted to like see in there, like see where like the egg and, you know, the embryo and everything was. So like I was kind of really upset, because I'm like, oh, June 13th, I can't wait for that. And so I was like really, really excited, and you know, I took prenatal vitamins. I did everything I could. I drank a lot of water, everything like that. I did everything normal. I wasn't drinking, because that's really bad. I wasn't doing anything you're not supposed to do. I was exercising, but very little. And so like, when I found out I was pregnant, they said, well, you're about like 4 or 5 weeks, or like, I think she said 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. That's a great estimate. And like, I was kind of like mad, because I wanted to know. I didn't want to wait until June. I really didn't want to. I was like so excited. And I found out that my due date for then was January 7th, I'm born in January, and the 7 is my favorite number. So I was like, oh my god, like this is really cool. Like, that's really cool. So days went on, and you know, I was feeling normal. My symptoms were, you know, I had breast tenderness. They were like feeling bigger. I was nauseous, but I wasn't throwing up yet, just feeling a little nauseous. And that, like, pretty much it. Cravings, I craved certain things, and I kind of like, I went through spells. Like, sometimes I didn't want to eat, and sometimes I was like, oh my god, I'm hungry all the time. I had to pee a lot for some reason. I don't know, I just like peed a lot, and I had no idea if that was because I was drinking a lot of water, or it was just like, you know, the pressure of like your uterus forming to, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I was really glad I wasn't throwing up yet. And like 3 days before I started miscarrying, I noticed, it was like 2 or 3 days, I noticed that my boobs were starting to feel like normal. And I was like, well, I looked up online, and they say that sometimes that goes away even if you're still pregnant. It like goes away. So I was figuring, oh well, that has to be it. Like, it just, you know, went away, and like it will be fine. Well, I ended up getting really stressed out the night before. So May 19th, I was really stressed out, to the point where I was like shaking. I was so stressed out. There's a lot of drama going on in my family. My brother, he's getting a divorce because his wife cheated on him. So like, I was all upset over that, upset over other things. So I mean, that night I didn't start bleeding. I was like completely fine and I felt normal. The next day I was still, really upset and stuff. And about 8 o'clock, May 20th, I started spotting, and I took a, like, not it was like a cool bath, because, like, you're not supposed to take really warm baths or anything, so it was cool. And plus, it was kind of warm outside that day, so I was all like sweaty, so cool water made me feel better. Before I got into the bath, I noticed that I was spotting, and I like started freaking out. I know that sometimes it's really normal, but a lot of times it ends up being a miscarriage and stuff. So I was like freaking out, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I think like I killed it, and like I started freaking out. I texted my fiance. I was like, I'm bleeding, and at first he thought that I was like just playing a joke, and I'm like, no, I'm really not joking. Like, I had my mom like come in, and I'm in the bath and I'm like crying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. And she looks and she's like, oh, well, that's not that much. And I'm like, I know, but like I think there's something wrong. And I'm like, I want to go to the hospital. Well, I ended up not going to the hospital because it kind of like went away. The bleeding went away a little bit. And after I got out of the shower, well, the bath, whatever, I called my fiance, and I was just like crying my eyes out. I'm like, I really am bleeding, like I'm not joking. And he comes over, and I'm crying to him, and he was really upset, but he thought everything was going to be okay because a lot of people bleed. And I was like, I'm like, well, I don't know if there's something wrong. I'm really scared. And like my insurance costs to just go to the emergency room is about like $200 to I think $100 or $200, and I really didn't want to pay that. I'd rather just pay like the $10 at the doctor's the next day. Well, I called there, and I called and called, and all they were like is like, oh well, we'll do a blood count today and then do another one on Thursday, because I called Tuesday, which is May 21st. And I was like, okay, fine. But I really wanted to just go in. I know there's nothing they can do or anything really. She just told me to lay down, and that's what I did most of the day. And it didn't really get any worse until that night, Tuesday night, May 21st. It started like kind of like gushing out a little bit more than what it was. And I'm like, oh no, like this isn't good. I knew there was something wrong. Like, I just knew it. My body knew it. I just knew there was something wrong, and nothing came out yet or anything. I know that being 7 weeks pregnant, there definitely should be something that comes out, not just blood. So like nothing came out yet, and I was like still praying and hoping that maybe I'm one of those girls that just like get their period when they're pregnant. And it was kind of like around the time I was supposed to get my period, like my second period, because it was like I was almost 8 weeks, and like that would be my other period. And like I was thinking, well, maybe it's just like a little bit early and everything will be okay. Well, I woke up at 5 o'clock Wednesday morning, the 22nd of May, and I passed this really weird thing, and I'm like, I know what that is. Like, this is my first pregnancy, first miscarriage, everything, I knew it. But I talked to my mom, and she had a miscarriage after she, her fourth pregnancy. She had a miscarriage, and she told me what came out. And like, this is gonna be kind of graphic, so if you don't like this, like, stop the video, sorry. But it was this like rubbery looking thing, and I knew exactly what it was, and it like made me sick, and made me like not sick like puking sick, it made me sick because it was like, oh my God, like I know what that is, that's the baby, and stuff like that. And I'm like freaking out, and I like started crying. I went downstairs, I got my mom, and I'm like, oh my God, like I think I just passed it. And I just couldn't believe it, because I was so excited. My fiance and I were like so excited, and even though we're not married or anything, we are planning on getting married. but we didn't have, well, what happened was he had to pay a lot of his bills this year, and we decided that we were gonna, get married next year. But like, we also thought about just, going eloping and like getting married like that, but I really want to get it done in a church. And this pregnancy, it like meant a lot to me, and even though I wasn't married or anything, but it just really meant a lot, because I've never had that bond with someone, and I was really glad that my fiance and I were having a baby together. And when this happened, it was devastating. And my fiance, I told him in the morning, and he was really upset. And we used to live together, but stuff happened, and we ended up breaking up for like a couple days because of stupid stuff. And I like kicked him out, so we don't live together anymore. But he came over at night and he started bawling with me. Like, we just cried together, and it was just really sad. And I still think about it, and I see babies, and I'm like, like, I don't really want to see it right now. I'm not ready to see stuff like that. But every day that goes by, it gets better, because everything happens for a reason. And there could have been something wrong. I know that your body miscarriages when there is something wrong. The baby isn't developing right. So I'm happy if there was something wrong with it, I guess, that it did happen. But I'm very upset, and I know there's a baby in heaven that can call me mom, and that makes me happy. But it's all very like depressing, and like, it's just sad. So, I mean, we're trying again, and we both want to try again, because it was really devastating having a baby just torn from you and stuff like that. And so we're trying again, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'll probably do like, a couple weeks, yeah, you know what I mean. But, so I'll do that. So right now, I went to my doctor after, and he was talking to me, and he told me, which this was just a couple days ago, because I've been having to give blood. I don't know, like, I'm all bruised right there from giving blood. I had to go, because I'm O negative, my blood type is O negative. I had to go and get a RhoGAM shot. Oh my gosh, it was a pain in the butt. Like, she asked me, she's like, do you want it in your rear end or your arm? And I'm like, my arm, please, because I really don't want, no. So I got it, like, in my arm right here, and it, like, she's like, oh, it's going to be really painful. I'm like, what do you mean, the needle or the stuff? And she's like, well, the stuff is really painful. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. So I got all nervous. Well, it really wasn't that bad. It was a weird feeling. So if you're one of those girls that have like negative blood and you have to get a RhoGAM shot, like, it's weird, and I guess it depends on how your body reacts to it. I kind of had pains in my arms and my back, but she said that's normal, but it wasn't like really, really bad. Like, I thought it was going to be really bad, and I also got a headache, and I don't know if that's just because I've been always getting headaches, or if it was because of the RhoGAM shot. So, I don't know, but just warning you guys. But he said that, I should wait for my next period, but I don't necessarily have to. They only do that so it's easier to tell when the baby would be born, but they could also do that by a sonogram and all that stuff. So I was like, okay. And I'm really excited to like be pregnant again and make it like through the whole trimester and actually like feel my baby kick and stuff. So like, I'm like excited about that, but I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll see you later.